Hello friends, how's it going? Today's video I hope will help some people, because these are things that just pop up being a bike owner, and then you're like gotta search online or ask friends and try to find where the solution is, which is what I did. So if you have a Shoei Neotec 2 and you have the SENA SRL Mesh, this is probably for you. So I got my SENA device about 3 years ago exactly, and up until now it's been, you know, running perfect. It's got the Harman Kardon speakers and the mesh and all that good stuff. I use it a lot with my friends on the weekends when we go have when there's, you know, 4 or 5 or 6 of us and we go out to breakfast. We all get on, we all have SENAs and we talk crap while we're riding. It's a lot of fun. But so the other day I was getting ready to head out, put my helmet on and pushed the 2 buttons on the side of the helmet to turn it on, and this is what it did.
Hello. Battery level is high. Phone connected. Goodbye.
So needless to say, I tried to turn it on again, and it did the same thing again and again and again. And I was like, okay, something's wrong. So then I tried to plug it in. It was already fully charged, but I plugged it in. And even if it's fully charged, normally the little red light will go on showing that it's being charged, and then it'll just turn to blue. I think it's blue is when it's charged. But it wouldn't even turn on. The light wouldn't even go on. The battery wouldn't take a charge. Stick with me and let's break the helmet out on the kitchen table, I guess, and we'll take a look at it and I'll show you what I did to fix it. Okay friends, here we are back in the home on the kitchen table, and again, if you have these 2 culprits right here, the Shoei Neotec 2 and the SENA SRL Mesh, this might be for you. So let's go over what happened a little bit, because on the forums I looked at, there was various problems, some of which were not my problem. But obviously over here, if you have this, you know how this works. There's the kind of raised button. There's 3 buttons here. There's the plus button and minus button and the raised button. You press the raised and plus button to get the unit to turn on. So what happened is when I tried to turn that on, again, it would just shut off, like I mentioned when I was riding. One of the forums said to, well, one of the directions I looked at online said to drain the entire battery. It'll reset and then you'll be able to do it. But the problem was I couldn't get my unit to stay on. Every time I turned it on, it said it was fully charged, and then it would just say goodbye and shut off. So one of the things said was to push the plus button and the center button to get it to turn on, and as soon as you hear that it's starting to go on, let go of the front button, the plus button, and just hold the raised button down. And I did that, and that allowed the unit to stay on. So that was a winner for me. And then I just left the helmet with music playing and drained the battery fully. And then I hooked up the power, thinking, great, I'll be able to juice this thing up, it'll be all good to go. Plug the power in, which is back here where you plug the cord in to power the unit. It wouldn't take a charge. It was dead. So I was like, geez, now what do I do? So I looked online, and there are battery replacements you can get, which I didn't do, because what I did is I took this out, took the battery out, unplugged the battery from the motherboard, waited a few moments, 10 seconds, whatever it was, plugged it back in, put it back in, put the charger in, and the red light went on. It was taking a charge. And then about 2 hours later, it was fully charged, blue light, good to go. So then I turned it on, and I heard it power up, say, hi, you know, power level high, connected to phone, and I waited for the dreaded goodbye, and it didn't happen. So basically, just unplugging the battery from the unit and then plugging it back in, reset it. Now this battery, again, is over, well, from when I bought it, it's over 3 years, about 3 years ago. So I don't know how long the battery was already sitting in the unit, but it could be 6 months or, you know, who knows. So it's about a 3.5-year-old, 4-year-old battery. Still holds a charge. I went riding the other day, did perfect. And I usually don't ride much more than 3 hours on a weekend, so it was fine for that. But I'll probably get a battery at some point to replace this one. And this is I think it's a 720 amp hour battery that's in here. And you can get ones online that are like 800 amp hour. So if you get those, you probably get a little bit more time out of it. But that's it. So what I'm going to do now is, just for those of you that want to see it, I'm going to take this apart, pull it out, show you the battery, show you everything inside. It's not difficult. You just kind of hold on to parts and make sure parts go back in the same way, hold it all together before you screw it down. But I'll go over that with you now. Okay, here we are. I've got a little cushion here for the helmet. You only need really 2 tools for this, just a flat, like a pair of scissors, a knife, or a flat edge screwdriver to get this off. And then you need a very small Phillips, like for, eyeglasses or something. I've got this little guy here. So you want to get this off and get at the motherboard and the battery. So you just basically push this in. So the easiest way is to put it in, twist it, so that pops out, and then it's held in place back here, so you got to kind of just wiggle this out, and there you go. Pretty simple. And then we'll tuck these cables back. Okay, so then you just flip it over, and you've got 4 screws, one here, 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 and here. And this is, I would suggest having something like this. This is magnetically charged, so the screws, once they come out, they stay stuck to this thing. So I'll take these 4 screws out. I'll be right back. Okay, so here we're taking out this last screw. And again, if you don't feel confident doing this is do it at your own risk thing. Maybe the dealership or where you bought it will do it for you, or trust a buddy that can do it. I don't know, but it's not difficult. Okay, so on my unit, this little screw right here, so these 2 screws on the top are longer than these 2 front ones. These 2 front ones are shorter. Okay, so this little screw here, this one's stripped, so it doesn't really do anything. Okay, so you just want to pull this cover off. Okay, so now you can see under here, everything's kind of like free-flowing. Let me get this back in place. Okay, so there's this little lip here. The battery just kind of sits there. And then there's these little posts. There's these guys here that kind of let the motherboard kind of sit back there. And you'll feel it kind of has a place to sit. These cables, when we put this back together, they sit. You'll see, I don't know if you can see that, there's a little notch on the top, and that notch has to go in here and sits by the post where the screw goes in. So here. So that's what I'm going to warn you. As soon as you take that top lid off, all this stuff in here just kind of falls apart. It's kind of like relaxes, and you got to finagle it and kind of wiggle it back into where it's supposed to go before you put the cap back on. Okay, so here's the battery. Okay. And you'll see on the side here, there's this big white, this is, the actual electronics, the motherboard, if you will. And then there's a little one. So there's a big white one and a little smaller white one here. This is the battery. And basically what I did is just, I don't want to unplug it again because I've already done it, but you just grab this with, some needle nose and just kind of very slowly, not too hard, just wiggle a little bit, and eventually it'll pop out. And then you can replace the battery. Or you can do what I did and just unplug it, wait 10 seconds or so, plug it back in, and I think just being disconnected was enough to reset the whole system, and the battery now does take a charge. The other thing you can do is, I didn't try it, but you can try a factory reset, which there's a little button you can press and see if that helps. I don't know, I just kind of feel like that wouldn't have helped me. But see, now you got to get all these things kind of lined back up before you put it back on. So that's basically it. Not difficult, but I think it's worthwhile just to see what this thing looks like on the inside and what you're dealing with, and if you want to try to tackle this yourself. Once you've got it all lined up, you can try and fit this back over the top. And these are the things that you usually don't see. It's not going all the way in. That's because these things are not lined up, these plastic. There we go. So these cables, like I said, there's a little hook thing that goes around this post. They have to be kind of lined up like that, so this all goes back down. This one's lined up, that one's lined up. Okay, good. So then we just screw it back down. Again, this one is kind of stripped, I believe. So let me go ahead and grab one of the bigger ones, put these back in, and we should be good to go. So I'll be back in a second. Okay, last screw. So again, this is do at your own risk. It's not a big deal. And if your unit is, you know, over 3-4 years old and you go on long trips and you need it to last a long time, then I would just probably go online there and get yourself a new battery, and then you'll have a much longer shelf life there. All right, so to put this back in, you gotta just, it only goes in one way, like that. So what you want to do is pull all this rubber lip back to allow that to sit back in there, and just push down, and then that little tab there will pop, and it's now back locked in place. So then you just want to make sure your wires are tucked back under this lip. See here, want to pull that back and get this back under there. Okay, there we go, good as new. So let's turn this guy on.
Hello. Battery level is high. Phone connected.
There we go. No more goodbyes.
All right, guys. Well, I hope that was helpful for you. I'll put on the screen right now a way to factory reset. So if you still have power to your helmet and you're having issues, but you still have access to the controls, you can do a factory reset, and that might help you. If not, if you've lost power or the battery will not charge, like in my case, then you're gonna have to kind of open it up and do one of two things: get a brand new battery, or just unplug the one you have, like I did, for 10 seconds or so, plug it back in, put it back together, and see if that works. Again, these are electronics, and I don't know exactly what your individual problem is, or if this is the same thing you're having, but hopefully, again, my goal here was to, you know, help people out that had a problem that wanted to fix it. That's it. So do me a favor, please do subscribe. I got tons of videos on rides and installs and issues and interviews, all kinds of wonderful stuff. I really appreciate it if you could do that. Thumbs up, share, all that. Love it. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time. Later.